Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the HSP. Today I have a really special guest. I've known him probably since elementary school. He lives 6 doors down from where I used to live,
Yep.
and I see him cycling away probably every week, especially in the summer, because I see as I'm driving, you're cycling away, and this is Nick Nieboer, and he truly has an inspirational story for us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm super honored to be here. I have always wanted to be able to reach people and, especially with people who struggle with a lot of different things, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, whether it's, whatever they're going through. I want to be one of those people that, despite my disability and despite just everything that I've been through, I want to be able to show them that, you can get through anything that you want if you truly have the mentality. So, I'm excited to share some things today, and I'm excited to just, really show people that they can get through anything, and they can do whatever they want in life if they truly have the motivation for it and just the heart for it.
Man, that's amazing. I love that mind over matter mentality where it's like, no matter your situation, your mindset is what's going to truly dictate where you're going to go and how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
So that's amazing to
Yeah.
hear.
I'm a firm believer in that you truly can do anything that you put your mind to. I've had this disability my whole life, and just got over cancer, and so through everything that I've been through, every time that I go through something hard, whether it could be something as simple as I don't want to get up today, or it could be as hard as cancer. No matter what, I have to tell myself, you can get through this, and you're going to get through this. And I truly believe that anything in life that you go through is just a testament to who you are, and it shows how strong you are, both physically and mentally,
and maybe spiritually too.
And spiritually too, yeah. I was raised in a Christian home, and was raised to go to church every Sunday and love Jesus, and obviously Jesus is the only way that I will be saved, and is the only way that I have been able to get through everything that I've been able to get through. And so to be able to have him in my life for as long as I have, that's what makes me smile every day. And to know that I know where I'm going when I die, that's a huge motivation for me to live every day like I'm not going to be here tomorrow. So
Certainly.
Yeah.
So tell everyone your story. You say you have a disability. Explain what that is, why that occurred, and what your life has been like trying to overcome that obstacle.
Yeah, so I was born with spinal bifida.
Spinal bifida?
Yep. It is a spinal paralysis. It can happen at there's certain levels of it. I thankfully have a lower level of it, so I have more mobility, even though I can't move my legs at all. I have been very blessed to have a strong upper body, and obviously have worked for it very hard. But I have been very blessed to have genes, obviously, in my family as well. My dad is very strong, and so I've been very blessed to, be able to be like him. And he's a big, honestly, he's my biggest motivation, to see what he does every day, working hard and coming home and still doing everything that he does at home to, keep the house looking good, and just just to be able to provide for us. I've been very blessed to have parents who love me and who love each other and obviously love the Lord too, and that has been super a big blessing for me. So I'm just very excited to kind of share my story about my life and about the things that I've been through, and just truly hoping that that we can reach some people today.
Sure.
And show people that that nothing has to stop them from anything. So
sure.
Yeah.
When did you first realize that you were maybe different than someone who could walk? Like, when did you notice that? Like, what was it like going to school, or where you said you were homeschooled, but what was it like you've said to me that before we talked, you've learned not to compare yourself to others, but I'm sure maybe in the beginning of your life you compared yourself to others more. What was that like? How did you overcome that? And
I think the first time that I ever noticed that was when I was in elementary school. I just noticed that I wasn't getting as much attention as other people were. And obviously that should not be the reason that people would want to be with somebody or hang out with somebody. Unfortunately, that was the case for me. And I had to every day tell myself that this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what other people think of you. It doesn't matter what other people are saying about you. None of that matters. What matters is what you think of yourself and what Jesus thinks of you. And Jesus is always going to think of you as perfect. He's always going to think of you as someone who deserves to be here, and that you are in the perfect place that you are supposed to be right now. And yeah, I was bullied a little bit, and I'm not going to lie, it sucked. There were days I'd come home and I would complain to my parents for an hour, and it was hard. It was very hard. And I really didn't know what to do at times. So a lot of days I would have to tell myself, you can get through this. You can fight through the loneliness. Honestly, being lonely sometimes is good for you. It truly is. It helps you see life a little bit clearer. And it helps you realize that you can fight through things on your own. Obviously, I'm so thankful to be a Christian, and I'm so thankful to have Jesus in my life, because I know that he's going to help me ultimately. But to know that I can have the strength that only comes through him is something that I will never take for granted, and something that I will always be thankful for. I have always thankfully been blessed with a strong upper body, and I just really, I truly believe that I'd like to say that I'm a willing testimony, and every day I try to live by that. And every day I will, and I'm gonna. Every day I have I find quotes on my phone that I think are always good to have, and I try to read those every day and motivate myself, especially in times when I'm having a down day, or I don't feel like cycling, or I don't feel like going to the gym, or anything like that.
What quotes specifically are some of your favorites?
Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done.
That's a good one.
I am a firm believer in that. And I like to tell myself that every day, because if I stop, I've just given up on an opportunity to push myself even more and to fight through something that I can fight through, even though I might not think I am able to.
Sure.
So, yeah.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And when did you start to realize that you were blessed with a strong upper body? When did you start your exercise journey? Like, I'm just curious.
When I was a freshman in high school, I started developing something called tremors. And at the time, I didn't know what it was. I had no idea why I was shaking. I had no idea why I was so jittery. I knew it was probably from anxiety. It was rooted around that, but I didn't really know that I would have the incapabilities that I would eventually have. And I was at the point where I couldn't even be in a car. I couldn't be in a small space. I couldn't be in an enclosed space. And I've always been a big people person. I've always been someone who loves to be around people and talk with people. And so when that started, it was very hard for me because I would go to, say, a sporting event or church or wherever it was. I would go there and I wouldn't be able to stay. And in that moment, it was so hard because I didn't know what was going on. And that was the hardest part for me, was the unknown. And when I finally got a diagnosis, I instantly told myself, okay, this is what you have. Live with it. Embrace it. Don't let the fear of what other people think of you get to you. Because when you do that, everything shuts down. Your mindset, even physically, you just feel like there's a weight on you. And I hated that. I hated that feeling. And I kept telling myself that every day. And eventually, I just got to the point of, you know what? I'm not going to let anything stop me anymore. Why? Why do that? You only have one life. So let these things be a motivation for you. Let these things be a help. Show yourself that you can push through this. Because if you can show yourself, other people are going to see that. And they're going to want to push through whatever they're going through too. And once I started doing that, I saw a whole new side of life. I'm smiling more. I'm more active than I ever used to be. I'm just a lot more... I have a lot more zest for life. And that's something that I will never, ever go back from. Ever. And I just hope that anyone listening to this today can see that, yeah, it's a little cloudy right now. And it might be for a little while. But it's going to get sunny eventually. You might not know when, but it will. And if you tell yourself that it will, it will. And you will be able to fight through it. So, yeah.
Wow. It's amazing to hear. Was there a specific instance where you were like, you were dealing with these tremors and then you hit an epiphany where it's like, I'm not going to worry about what other people think. When did that occur? When did you realize that you're going to live through it? And you were saying that you hit a point where you were nervous and you felt like you couldn't do things, and then you were like, I'm going to do things now? Like, when did that switch?
I think it switched when I started gaining weight. My sophomore year going into my junior year of high school, my tremors were so bad that I was resorting to food. Bad food. And it was every day. And eventually, I looked at myself and I was like, dude, you're not helping yourself at all. What you're doing right now, sitting around, obviously, I'm sitting around 24/7, but sitting around and eating food, that's not going to make you any more in shape. And that's not going to help you when you want to be active and when you want to go out and do all these things that you love. And eventually, I told myself one day, I got up, I literally looked in the mirror, looked at myself, I said, dude, you're fat. Get your butt up and go to the gym and get your life back together. I had to be hard on myself because I knew nobody else was going to do it for me. Like, I can have other people tell me, hey, Nick, you got to do this, or Nick, you got to do that. But you yourself truly have to do it. And if you don't, you're gonna live every day wishing that yesterday you had done what you wanted to do. And so I started going to the gym every day, and I ended up losing 50 pounds. And I tell you what, it was the hardest 9 months that I had been through, or at least I thought it was. Because even my mobility, like moving around and getting up and, getting out of my chair and getting back into my chair, going up and down stairs, like the littlest things were hard. And I did not want that anymore. I did not want that. My life was already hard, and to add that on top of it, I was like, dude, you're doing this to yourself. Like, come on. Get your life together. So once I started going to the gym and started cycling with my other bike that I had since I was a little kid, I started realizing that my life is a lot easier when I treat it right. When I treat my body right, when I treat my mind right, when I treat life right. And so I ended up over 9 months losing 50 pounds and got back to lifting the weights that I was doing a while back. And I told myself, I set goals for myself. Every day, whether it's little goals or big goals, it doesn't matter. You set goals for yourself. Because once you do that, and you meet that goal, when you do, you are going to feel like the most accomplished person in the world. Whether it's, like, there's some days I will put on my phone, get up out of bed. And I see that, and I get up out of bed, I literally look in the mirror at myself and smile. Because I'm like, dude, you did it. Like, you actually got up and you got going. That's huge. There's some people who can't say that. Do it for those people. Fight through for those people that can't. And once I did that, it was like my whole mentality changed. There was one day that I was on my bike, on my trainer, and I used to do a lot of caffeine. I don't do it too much anymore because I just don't like the jitteriness. But there was one day that I told myself I need caffeine, and my dad looked at me and said, Nick, you don't need caffeine. Just get on and ride. And I was like, Dad, you don't understand. I need this energy. I need it. And he said, Nick, get on your bike or you don't get your car. So I got on my bike and I put on some inspirational music. And an hour and a half later, I was still on my bike going, and I didn't even realize it. So at that point, I realized that I had broken through a barrier. And I looked at myself and I said, wow, if you can do this, why is anything else stopping you? And so ever since then, I've never, ever, and I never will let anything else stop me. It doesn't matter how hard it is. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. I'll fight through it. And I will beat it. So, yeah.
That's powerful. Yeah, like you were saying, sometimes even just having small goals, like, hey, get up, maybe go for a walk, or doing small things that, I can't go do an hour of HIIT workout to start, but I can put my shoes on and walk out the door, these small things are so important to build the habit. And once you get in that habit of getting up, like you were saying, checking off these small goals, it feels a lot less daunting to try out the things that seem harder and pursue the things that seem hard. And that's amazing.
Yeah.
What would you say your typical gym routine and cycle routine are? Have they changed over the years?
I would say my typical cycling routine is I cycle about 150 miles a week, or at least I try. Some weeks, it doesn't work out because, obviously you've got your cycle that can break down, or you've got other things that you've got going on during the week that just interfere with it. So, but I try to do about 150 miles a week. I try to cycle in the morning because first thing in the morning, if I go out and do something active, I notice that the rest of my day, I have energy. I feel like I can accomplish things if I get going. And so I try to do that, and then I try to go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, and I usually try to go in the afternoons or evenings, or sometimes I'll go right after my cycle if I'm feeling strong enough. But there's some days where I'm so sore that I'll literally the next morning I'll know that it's coming, and I'll wake up and I'll literally call my mom and be like, Mom, can you push me up, please? I need this. Like, I already can't feel my legs, but there's some mornings I can't feel both. So.
No, yeah.
Yeah. So. And I'll be honest, that didn't start for a while. That routine took years to master. Any routine that you start, if you think that it's going to happen the next day, it won't. You're going to end up getting really, really upset with yourself because you're going to find yourself most times feeling really, really upset and depressed because most likely you're not going to accomplish it the very next day. So once I got out of that mentality that things don't come right away, once I got to that mentality where it takes time, that's when I started achieving goals. That's when I started realizing that good things do take time. And because of that, because of my routine that I got into, I ended up competing in my first marathon when I was... It was in 2018, sorry. It was 2018 that I competed in my first marathon. And I didn't really know how to train for it because I didn't have a trainer, I didn't have a coach, I didn't have anything except for my bike. So I knew that I needed to get on my bike and I needed to ride. I didn't know distance, I didn't know time, I didn't know anything about that. And I just got on and rode. And once I started doing that, every day I would just add a little bit more. Whether it's a mile, half mile, 2 miles, didn't matter. Just keep adding more. And in 2018, I did the Grand Rapids Marathon, and there were 5 other people in the race, or for the hand cycle division. And I ended up not sleeping basically at all the night before the race.
Due to nerves?
Due to nerves. It was 32 degrees the next morning. So I had to worry about frostbite. I had to worry about basically everything that could go wrong. And in that moment, that when I woke up an hour later, I had to decide, am I really going to do this? Or am I going to let my emotions get the best of me and just, say no? So I got up, and my dad kept looking at me as we were going up to Grand Rapids, and he kept telling me, he's like, Nick, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, yes, I want to do this. Because I told myself I'm going to. And I'm going to. And we got there, and there were a couple other cyclists that were on my team that I knew were really, really good. And I just told myself, just go out and do your best. Don't worry about what they're doing. Don't worry about what they've done to prepare for this. Don't worry about anything else except for yourself and what you are planning to do for this race. So we started going, and that day I ended up finishing second, and I ended up breaking the record that year for the second fastest Grand Rapids Marathon time in history. And after the race, I looked at myself and I was like, yeah, I think this is what I want to do. This is the sport that I want to pursue. And I told myself, man, if you can devote your time to training and everything, just think of how much faster you could be. Think of how much better of a cyclist you could be. And so I started getting into a routine, and unfortunately, there were a couple things that that got in the way of that for a couple of years. But I'm so thankful to be cycling this year and to be going back to Grand Rapids, which I have in just over a month, and I'm super excited for it. I'm super excited to, I've set some goals for myself for different races and different things that I want to accomplish with cycling this year, so I'm super excited to push past those. And
what are those goals?
So I'm hoping to be able to qualify for the Boston Marathon, which I did in 2019, and I would love to be able to travel around the world and cycle. I think that'd be a lot of fun, and I would love to just be able to get the sport of hand cycling out there more. I would love to show people that, yeah, I'm in a wheelchair, and yeah, I've had this disability kind of, get in the way. But it really hasn't. And I'm hoping that if people can see that whatever they're dealing with that day, that it won't be a big deal for them. So, I've got a lot of things that I'm going to accomplish this year, and I'm excited to show myself that I can do it. So.
That's amazing. I think that's a great goal. Like, you see some people who don't even nearly have the same kind of obstacles you have, but they don't seem to recognize the power that they have, or the capacity they have to really push themselves. And I really think people hearing this story are going to be like, wow, this guy's going through so many struggles, but look at that. He's getting out of bed, and he's getting on that bike, and he's pushing through the pain. And it's like, it's so motivational to hear your story like this. I'm very glad to have met you. It's very, it's so meaningful to hear this, because it's like, Harley, you better get out of bed and you better be grateful for what you have. I bet gratitude is something that you think of all the time.
Very much so. I wake up every morning, and the first thing that I do is I think of things that I'm thankful for. Because I truly believe that starting your day with positive mental thoughts like that, that's going to make your day a whole lot better. And it's going to help you, it's going to make your day a lot easier. It's going to help you truly, it's going to help the things that may seem harder be easier. And I love, I just love being able to see myself push through those moments where I'm either anxious or sad or depressed or, whatever negative emotion I'm going through. To be able to push through that, that's a big deal. And whether people recognize it or not, if you yourself are able to recognize it, give yourself props for that. Because there's some people who don't. There's some people who don't fight through that. And I can't tell you how many people I have seen ask me how I get through my day so positively, and yet they still go on and are negative and just upset about life, and it's sad because I know that they can be different if they truly put their mindset to say, I can get through this no matter how hard it's going to be. That when you break through that barrier, or that wall, as I like to say, that's when you know that you can accomplish anything. When you break through that wall, it's like every weight that you have on you is gone. And it's the best feeling in the world. And it may take a lot longer for some people than others. But that's okay. Because what matters is that you get to that point. And whatever you can do to get to that point, do it. Whether it's being hard on yourself for a little bit, or having someone else be hard on you, do it. Because if you don't, you're going to regret it. So I am very blessed for the people who have helped me along the way. I can't do what I've been able to do on my own. Obviously, I'm so thankful to have Jesus Christ in my life because he's obviously the one that has truly helped me through all of this. But to be able to have a family that has supported me through everything that I've been through, and to have other people in my life, whether they're close or not, just to have those people that you surround yourself with that are motivating and that are going to push you to be your best, it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, iron sharpens iron.
Mm-hmm.
You know, show me your 5 closest friends, I will show you your future.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a quote I like. But, like, I try to give myself a lot of that harsh, Harley, you could be doing better. Harley, you got to get up. Like you were saying, that tough love. It is a form of love because you do truly care about yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe not yourself right now, but maybe your tomorrow's self, or, you know, and that still is yourself. And,
yeah.
And I love surrounding myself with people who are able to criticize me and able to say, Harley, you're doing something wrong. You're going down this wrong path. You should be doing better. But of course, the other side is, it is nice to have friends who encourage you and say you're doing great as well. But I'm sure you've tried to find the balance within yourself of how much harsh criticism to give and how much I'm so grateful for where I've gotten to. I'm so thankful for what I've accomplished. But striking that balance is sometimes difficult, but you do need both, don't you?
You truly do. And I'll be honest, when I started cycling, I thought that I was the shit. I really did. Pardon my language, but I truly did. And one of the first nights that I cycled with some other guys, and we did a little sprint. It was 10 seconds. That's all it was. But that was long enough. And I got absolutely ghosted by them. And I just stood there and was like, dude, I'm sorry, but you deserve that. Because if I hadn't been a part of that moment, if I hadn't had someone give me that piece of bread, I would not be who I am today. I would not be where I'm at with cycling today. That was the time, that was the moment where I said, dude, you got a lot of work to do. And if you really want to be like them, you got to train like them. You gotta allow yourself to be at the breaking point. And once you get to that point, I'm letting you know right now, it's going to suck. You're going to have tears. You're going to break down. You're going to be mad. But that's what you need. You need that fire in you. Once you get that fire in you, nothing can stop you. And I was so thankful. As much as I hate admitting it, I was so thankful to have that moment happen during that practice. Because once that moment happened, I told myself, and I promised myself, that I would work hard every single day to be like them. And yes, I'm not there yet. And I may never be. But that's okay. Be grateful for what you have right now. Because there's a lot of other people in life that don't have what you have. I have an $8,000 bike. I have a wheelchair that I can get around in. I have a bed that I can sleep in. I have a house that covers me. I have food that I can eat. I have water that I can drink. just naming off those things makes me feel good. Because I know that I'm always going to have that. And I count it a blessing every day. Because there's a lot of people in this world that don't. And honestly, I'm fighting for those people that don't. I'm pushing through for those people that can't. I'm telling myself to not give up for those people that gave up. And it's truly humbling to be able to do that. Because I've been at that point. I've been at that moment in my life where I didn't really want life to continue. I didn't want to be happy. I just wanted to wander in my self-pity. I wanted the attention, and I wanted all of the negative things in life. And once I got past that, once I started realizing that, dude, you can't rely on other people to help you get through this. Because once you do, you're never going to be able to fight through it yourself. And I basically had to step away from everybody. I had to step away from everything. Once the anxiety came and once the tremors came, I had to step away. I didn't want to. I didn't want to at all. But I did. And that was the hardest decision in my life. Because I didn't want to step away from things I love. Nobody does. Nobody wants to step away from things that they love. Nobody wants to step away from people that they love. But sometimes it makes you a better person. And I'm so thankful for the years that I did, because I'm definitely a more humble, I'm just an all-around better person because of it. And every trial that I've been through, every hard thing that I've been through, I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Because it's made me who I am today. And it's molded me who I am today. So I'm very, very thankful for that.
That's amazing. I kind of want to talk about that point you made when you said at first you kind of thought you were you were really good at cycling. You thought you were the shit. You thought, you had maybe slight arrogance. You thought, no one can stop me. No one can, I'm better than a lot of people. Or, I've been like that as well. Mm-hmm. It's crazy how blinding arrogance can be. Like, it's like, oh, I think I'm smart enough. Oh, I don't need to look into that. Oh, I already know enough about that. Or, oh, I'm already good enough. I don't need to learn from this person. And I'm like, it's crazy what kind of blinders puts you on, because now you're not listening to other people who might actually want to help. You're not actually looking inward to see your insufficiencies, to see where can I improve? What am I messing up on? What do I not know enough about yet? And this idea of like letting insufficiencies burn off. Like, there's parts of you that are solid and there's parts of you that, you should improve and critique, and I'm a huge fan of that. And I think humility is one of the best methods to recognize, I do have a bit of dead wood that needs to get burnt off. Oh, I do. There are a lot of things I don't know. There's so much improvement that I can have. And like, if someone asks me like, so are you good at this? And I'm like, I've done it for a little bit, but there's still so much more I need to learn. There's still, oh, you're studying this, you must be smart. I'm like, there's the amount of things I don't know is like infinite compared to the things that I know. And like that humility has allowed me, kind of ironically, to learn more and more and become better and better. Because, you know, when you recognize that you're so limited and that you have so much more to offer and that you really aren't in the place that you could be, you just, I feel like that wall is broken down, like you were saying, and now you have that ability to recognize that, I can improve as long as I'm willing to criticize myself and update. And I love that, because it seems like that instance where you saw those people ghost you and like you're like, man, I really am not as good as I thought.
Yeah.
But it was like a realization, like, but that's an optimistic thing, because life is a constant climb.
Yeah.
I want to be there now. That's my new target.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
I love that. Some people are like, oh, you're so negative on yourself. Oh, you're not who you could be. I'm like, that's one of the most optimistic things in my mind, because I'm not who I could be, but I want to be there, and these are the steps I'm going to take to be there.
Yeah.
And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of humility. I think you bring up Jesus. I think Jesus was the most humble person who lived in some sense.
Yep.
Like, he knew so much, and he had so much knowledge and wisdom, but he didn't boast about it. He didn't shove it down people's throats who didn't want to listen.
Yep.
He was the person who was able to, he listened to other people's perspectives, and he, with love, told them what he thought was true. And I'm like, that, in my opinion, is what I try to integrate into my actions every day. No way perfectly, of course, but that's the goal. It's like, that's my target. I want to get to a point where I'm more and more like that, as humble as possible, as loving as possible. And, you know, I see that in you as well, and that story of humility, it really resonates with me, because, yeah.
I'll be honest, there were many, many years that I was not. There were many years where I wanted to be the best at everything. And I'll be honest, there's always going to be that sense in me that wants to be the best at everything. But once I told myself that you're not, once I told myself that I have to do these certain things first, and then I can get to that point, that is when I knew that I could do anything that I wanted in life. And every day, I'm working on it. Every day, everybody's working on it. Nobody's perfect. Nobody ever will be perfect. But if you strive to do your best, and you strive to do it with humility, and you strive to do it with good morals, and you strive to do it the best that you possibly can, you'll be able to. And I'm a firm believer of that.
Me too. Man. So actually, you went through another tough circumstance. Not only did you have to work through this disability, how long ago did you get this diagnosis? Yeah, tell me about this story.
So, on April 12th,
of 2022?
Yes, of this year. Let's backtrack a little bit before that. At the end of March, I started feeling some pressure in my body. We are not going to tell where, just for everybody else on here. We're not going to get too graphic about it, but I started feeling some pressure, and I didn't know what it was. I just thought that it was just guy problems, and I kind of just let it go for a little bit. I told my parents about it, and they were like, "Nick, you're fine. You're probably just, it's probably you'll probably get over it in like a week or so. And so I let about a week and a half go by, and I went up to my parents and I said, guys, I'm still dealing with this. Like this is, and I feel like it's getting worse. And so we finally went to my normal doctor, and he took a look at it, and said he thought that it was just some stuff that I needed to get out. But he prescribed me to a rectal doctor, and the rectal doctor looked at me and said, it's probably just a polyp. So just, we can, we'll get it further looked at, but you probably just need to have surgery and just get it taken out. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like what's another surgery, because I've already had 12. And so for me, another surgery wasn't going to be that big of a deal. But he prescribed me to get a CT scan, and the CT scan showed possible cancer. And just the word cancer being on that list, I instantly just froze. Because my whole life, I've been this super healthy guy. I've tried to eat healthy. I've tried to be active. I've tried to do everything that I possibly can to be, to live a healthy lifestyle. And a couple days went by, and I had my doctor call me, and he said that he thinks it's possible cancer. And so we decided to get in to see my urologist as quick as possible, so that we could talk in person, and so that they could take a look at it and see what they thought of it. And both surgeons that I've had for basically all my surgeries, they came into the room, and it was me and my mom and them, and they closed the door, and usually they're pretty positive people and pretty smiley, and like they're pretty, chill guys, but they weren't smiling at all. And instantly I knew that something was up. And they looked at me and said, Nick, I don't know how to tell you this, but we're positive that you have cancer. And instantly I looked at my mom, and I just started crying. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to even feel at that point. It was just like my whole body just shut down. And it was crazy because the weeks prior, the weeks leading up to that, I had dreams of people telling me that I had cancer. And so it was literally like God was telling me, Nick, I'm going to give you this, and I need you to trust me that you're going to fight through this, and that you're going to get through this. And so April 12th, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer in my blood. It was a blood type cancer. It was B-cell lymphoma. And what was so crazy was I actually just found this out the other day, that it was the same type of cancer that my grandpa passed away from the year before I was born. And when they told me stage 3, I was like, this is it. It honestly, I need to I need to say goodbye to people because I truly don't know if I'm going to live anymore. Like, I don't know if I'm going to live through this. And the next day, that afternoon, I kind of regrouped myself and just tried to get myself in a more positive mode and tried to surround myself with positive things. And that next day, I woke up and I looked at myself and said, are you going to let this bother you? Are you going to let this control you? And I kept looking at myself in the mirror, and I wanted to tell myself that I wasn't going to get through it, but I knew that was the wrong thing to do. I knew that wasn't what I needed to do in that moment. So I literally went up as close as I could to that mirror, and I got straight into my own face, and I said, get through this. And I went in and saw my parents, and I said, let's do this. It's just another thing. It's another part of my story. And so a couple weeks later, I started my first treatment, and all of my treatments that I went through were a week long, and most of them were a 24-hour constant chemo. And the hardest part of it all was sitting in bed and having to fight through the thoughts that I had in my mind. And because before all of this, I was able to get out. I was able to be active. I was able to surround myself with things that kept my mind from going south. But when you're in the hospital and you're in that room, you don't have anything. You don't have anything except to stare at that bag and tell yourself, I can get through this. That's all you have at that moment. And the moment that I knew I was going to fight through this was when I had nobody in my room, and it was dead silent except for the drip of the chemo. And I looked at myself and I was like, fight on. And after that moment, after I was able to break through that wall, it was like nothing was going to stop me. And every single day, I got up out of that bed and I took at least three laps around the hall. Even when I felt like I didn't want to, I knew I had to. And I am now, 3 months later, I'm cancer-free. And I'm back to cycling. I'm back to doing what I love. And I am so blessed that I had cancer. I know it's the craziest thing in the world to say, but I'm so thankful for it. Because it made me a heck of a lot stronger, both physically and mentally. And I told myself, if I can get through a time where I didn't know if I was going to live, everything else can be so much easier if you make it that way. And every day I live like I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Because now that I've been through cancer, and now that I've been through someone telling me, hey, you might not live, life is so much more important to me. People are so much more important to me. Everything that I do is so much more important to me now than what it was before. It should have been very, very important to me, even before cancer. But I am so much more grateful for life. Every day I wake up and I get to tell myself, dude, you get to breathe today. You get to go outside today. You get to eat today. You get to wheel around today. You get a second chance at life today. Don't give up. And I truly believe that I was meant to fight through cancer for everyone out there who is fighting through something, whether it's cancer, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, it doesn't matter what it is. I truly believe that God put me in this position to inspire other people and to show them that this life is short, so live it while you can. Because if you don't, you're going to regret it. So I am incredibly blessed to even just be a part of this life and to be a witness to other people and to show them that life is so worth living. It truly is. It's a blessing if you let it be. And I just hope that whoever is listening today, whoever is going through something really, really hard, that they're loved and that they can push through it, and that I'm going to push through for them, and that I will always give my best, and I will always show that. And I truly am blessed. Truly.
That's some deep stuff right there. I love your perspective on, you went through that almost like situation that made you realize how, your life can end at any moment. Mm-hmm. Our life here is so short, Mm-hmm. And I actually live by a very similar framework. Maybe not because I haven't gone through that, but I have had someone almost die right in front of me, but he happened to be resuscitated. Mm-hmm. And it was, after that day, I was like, all right, Harley, you have no idea when your time is going to end. Mm-hmm. You have no idea when. This is the joke that my roommate and I say all the time. Well, the bus can hit you at any moment. Like you could be walking to class. Like we drive in our cars, and mm-hmm. Accidents can occur. It's like, it's in my mind, I'm always recognizing that this could be the last time I'm saying goodbye to my parents. This could be the last time I'm seeing my one friend. This could be the last time I'm ever doing anything. you might as well try your hardest right now and give your effort, get best efforts, because you don't want to be on your deathbed regretting not doing this, not doing that, saying something that you shouldn't have, etc. And so this mindset of, well, I have no other option than to try my hardest because I have no idea when my last breath will be. And I love that, and I resonate with that very much. And I feel like sometimes these days people don't always like to talk about, that their life is going to end, or talking about death is something that's taboo in some sense. And when in reality, it's like life is not complete without death. Everyone dies. And, recognizing that, your time here is so short and everything that you do matters, and everything is so precious that it gives you that motivation to move, or at least for me. And so I can resonate with that quite a lot.
Yeah. One of the greatest quotes that I've ever seen was, "Don't quit when you're tired." So basically meaning, don't quit when you feel like it. You quit when the task is done. You don't quit early. You don't quit anything early. You push through until you are fully done with the task that you have been given. Like, I couldn't just after a week say, "Oh, cancer's gone, I'm done." I couldn't do that. I had to do every single thing that the doctors told me I had to do before I could be done. And it seemed like an eternity. And it sucked. I was at my darkest time. But if you truly dig down deep, and you're going to have to go pretty deep sometimes. You might not want to, but you're going to have to. And once you do that, that climb is going to be a lot easier. I do a lot of climbing and cycling. And there's hills some days that I look at, I just kind of stare at them for a second. I'm like, do I really want to go up here today? No, not really. But I have to. And you can't do that. You can't sit and stare at it. If you want something, go for it. If you truly want to succeed in life, if you truly want to get to that moment where you're like, I can do anything, you can't let anything stop you. Not even a little hill. Doesn't matter how big it is. And if you do that, I promise you, you're going to get really, really far in life. You might have to have help along the way. That's okay. Perfectly fine. You wouldn't be human if you didn't have help. I have to have help all the time. I have to have some people say, or I have to ask some people for a plate. I could go get it. But if I need help, I need help. And that's okay. And I, for the longest time, wanted to just do things on my own. And there are times where it's okay to do things on your own. It's better to do things on your own sometimes. It's better to push through and show yourself that you can push through on your own, that you don't need somebody all the time. But there are times where it's just not possible without somebody's help. I wouldn't be the cyclist I wouldn't be the cyclist that I am today without help. I wouldn't be the cyclist that I am today without that person pushing past me and blowing me out of the water and absolutely embarrassing the crap out of me. But I'm glad they did. Because that put a fire in me that I've never felt before. I told myself I want to be at that point. And to be at that point, you got to be okay with being second for a little bit. If you want to be first, you got to be okay with it. Yeah, it's going to suck for a little while. And you're not going to like it at all. But if you truly want to be first, you got to let yourself be second. And I'm always going to live by that. Always.
Yeah, like the idea of, not stopping when you're tired, stopping when you're done. I see that as a metaphor for life. Like, I'd say being done is, in some sense, death. Don't stop when you're tired. Don't stop when it's early morning before the Grand Rapids Marathon and you don't want to get up. You don't stop when you see the diagnosis. You don't stop when, you break your whatever. You can't stop, because once you stop, you're dead in some sense. Where your growth is no longer, you're no longer growing, you're no longer learning, and you're going to live a life filled with regret. One guy I had on like a week ago that I haven't released yet, he said something like, let your fear of regret outweigh your fear of failure. Failing is truly important. You need to learn how to try things and fail. It's way, way better to fail at something and try than to live with the fear or live with regret at the end of your life. I didn't go to that marathon, and I didn't go and do this. I didn't try this. It's like the fear of failure sometimes can be big, but let that fear of regret, motivate you in some sense, because I'd say regret is some of the worst things you can have, and you don't want to be 80 and say, I regret my decisions. I didn't try my best. I quit all the time when I was tired. I didn't push through. I didn't try to form those connections with people. Any of those things. And I see that metaphor for life. Don't stop when you're tired. You'll stop when you're done. And hopefully you can look back on those actions you took and be proud of them. And that's the goal that I have all the time. And it seems like you do as well.
Yep.
You want to be, when you're older, look back and be so proud of your story. And you want to be able to tell your story to people as motivation. You want to be able to be that witness.
Yeah.
Because, some people truly need that help from others. Some people need to hear someone else's struggle to really get through what they're getting through. And I really do think you are incredibly inspirational. Your story is just, it can impact so many people. And the way you're living, I can see you can proudly tell your story. And that's something I love.
I will never be ashamed of being in a wheelchair. I will never be embarrassed of being in a wheelchair. There are days that I am so bored that I will be thankful for my wheelchair. There are days that I'll just be wheeling around and I look at myself and I'm like, dude, you get to wheel around today. You get to enjoy that freedom. It's a freedom. It's not something that's holding you back. It's something that's helping you. It's something that is it's something that you're able to show other people that it's a way of showing other people that you're not letting this disability get you. Yeah, it's different. But I don't like to think of myself as different. I don't like to think of myself as special. I'm unique. I'm not different than anybody else. I have 2 arms. I have 2 legs. Yeah, they dangle around a little bit. Don't work. I can't feel them. But I still have them. I still have a face. I still am a normal human being. I just have a wheelchair. And that's okay. There's no part of me that is truly different than somebody else. Except for my story. Nobody can take my story away from me. And I'll never let them. Because I truly believe that my story will never fully end until I get to heaven. So until that day, my story just keeps on writing. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited to be able to wake up every morning and say, what part am I going to write today? What part do I get to check off today? What part do I get to experience today? It may be hard. Or it may be easy. I don't know. But that's what I look forward to. And I am so blessed to be able to keep sharing that story and to keep being able to write it. It's a blessing. It's a big blessing. Big blessing.
Yes, it is. Yeah, this has been pretty emotional. Hearing a lot of this, it's a deep story, and you know, it inspires me a lot. And I'm very glad we got to do this today.
Yeah,
I think that was a good place to end.
Yeah.
I think we covered quite a few things. And what would you say your final word of advice is to someone who might be struggling through something, or doesn't feel like getting out of bed, or who doesn't feel like hitting the gym? What would be your final words to someone like that?
Don't let your fear of failure outweigh your feeling of regret. Don't let what could be hard be hard. Don't sell yourself short. You have a whole lot more to offer than what you think you do. Yeah, I'm in a wheelchair. But that has never defined who I am. I will always have a smile on my face. I will always be positive. I'll always fight. That's just who I am. And I'm never going to let anybody stop me from that. Never.
Thank you, Nick. It's truly been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
It's been great getting to know you more.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you letting me be on today.
Of course.